guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how weeks 7 through 12 have been going with our homeschool. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sade. I'm a homeschool mom to 5 children, and this is our 8th year of homeschooling. My children's ages are 10, 7, 5, and then I have 2-year-old twins who are actually about to be 3 in a month or so. So, yeah, and like the intro said, we're going to talk about how our homeschool year is going. We have definitely been out in these streets. Last year and the year prior, we weren't doing much, but on Mondays we were doing our co-op, which is just the kids are playing for an hour and a half, more like an hour, because we're not on time, but they get to see the same people consistently. On Tuesdays, I signed them up for a homeschool cooking class at our local rec center. That's been beneficial, and I probably may have signed them up for selfish reasons. The first thing that they cooked was a breakfast sandwich, and they didn't have to use knives or anything, so I sure enough did go buy those ingredients, and now my 7-year-old is on the breakfast rotation for helping out in the mornings. And then on Wednesdays they are doing homeschool PE, and then Thursdays and Fridays we're sitting down, we're not going anywhere. But usually on Fridays we eat out. Another thing is also that my daughter, she's doing softball, and then the boys didn't do baseball and t-ball this season because there weren't enough boys. The Little League coach said that they're kind of in competition with football, so there weren't enough boys to do baseball and t-ball this fall. But I mean, softball is ending, but basketball is right behind it, and so they'll be starting that. All 3 of them, my older 3, will be starting basketball, and so that will be fun. And they're in 3 different leagues this year, and so, well, actually softball in the spring they were in 3 different leagues. The year prior the boys were in the same league, but my middle son aged out of, my oldest son aged out and moved to the next grade level, so age level, so that same thing is happening with basketball, and we fared it pretty well, even on with me being in seminary. So I'm hoping that this winter will be just as easy. And so that's pretty much it for extracurriculars for the kids. They've the art class, my daughter was supposed to be doing an art class with local artists at our church, but there weren't enough kids that signed up for either times, and so they're trying to get one specific time and just letting that be how many kids are going to be there. And I think that's going to be starting up pretty soon, which is exciting because her transition to middle school ceremony, I guess we'll call it, I don't know what we'll call it, but it's going to be an art show, and so that's going to be pretty fun. And then she still will be homeschooled, but we're going to do something to honor her, like leaving the elementary ages and going to middle school. Yeah. She did ask me about like a dance or a spring fling, and as far as I know, I don't think the elementary kids do anything like that for homeschools, but I did tell her middle schoolers do have like a little spring fling and outing. I think the high schoolers have a prom, and it's not necessarily even with our co-op, but it's with a local organization, which I think is cool. But we have lots of things to think about because these middle school years kind of form her high school years, like in the path that we want to go. And with me knowing that she wants to be an artist, and she also told me she didn't want to be a starving artist, so she will be an art teacher to kind of support her craft. We kind of know the way she wants to go. In our local community college, they will the associate's degree, they will help her form her portfolio. So the goal is for her to start community college when she turns 16, her 11th grade year, and then our local high school well, our district, if we're still here, the high school kids can take 2 online classes for the online high school, so she won't necessarily be going into the building. But we did talk about how she might need to go into the building to take the advanced art classes, but the school that we're district for, I don't know if they even necessarily focus on that, so we'd have to probably put her into a art school if they even have one. I'm not sure, but yeah, we are thinking about what her high school years will look like. But for sure, I will take advantage of those 2 online courses that are offered. I'm hoping I will. How about this? I'm gonna say, Lord's will, we will take advantage of those 2 online courses. I don't want certain agendas put into my children, so I'm hoping that that could be like a cost-effective way for us to continue her homeschool education. But if not, we'll pray and the Lord will make a way. If it's His will, it is His bill. And so that's just how I'm planning it. But even if she doesn't take the 2 online courses at the online school for our district, then she will most definitely be going to the community college to get her portfolio started and stuff, so she can go to a 4-year college. And that's her plan. And so it's so exciting. We have delved into Duolingo. I wanted her to learn Spanish because I know one of my children, just praying for one of my children, I know that what he's going to do in the language that he is going to need to be able to do that. And so I just wanted to make everyone do that one specific language. But I started thinking about how she is definitely going, the path that she wants is art. And so I was thinking, well, she wanted to do French. I wanted her to do Spanish because there's more people who speak Spanish in America. But, if she's going to be an artist, maybe will have to go to Paris for a bit of time to do studying, if that's the way she wants to go, or even necessarily, like, a lot of Haitians speak French, or they might speak Creole, but she'll be able to communicate with them. So it's not necessarily a dead language, but it's not the most popular language. But I kind of let that go, because her passion was not Spanish, her passion is French. So you know what? Go ahead, baby. Do what you need to do. And it's Duolingo, so it's not anything committing. How about we say that? And so, yeah, and she did go to, her kindergarten year was COVID, so she was in a language academy, and she did Spanish her whole kindergarten year. It was Spanish immersion, so her whole kindergarten year, they only spoke Spanish. Then she went into the building 1st grade and for half a year, and they spoke Spanish, and she had like an English class. So she does still know a lot of that Spanish, believe it or not, but we'll see where she lands. I'll let her decide. So that's something that I'm taking my hands off of. Then the next thing is, let's just get strict down to academics. Reading is going well. We are on from phonics to reading the level B, the blue book for her. She has, if I'm not mistaken, she'll be done before her birthday. That's what I told her. I can't remember what lesson. I think she's on 23, if I'm not mistaken, or 24. But she will be done before Christmas. And she will move on to level C, the green book. We were doubling up, and then I just decided to back off of that and allow her just the space to kind of, because I feel like after the red book is the hardest, level A, but that's because it's a lot of things are being introduced at the same time, but she kind of knows all of that and she picks up so quickly. But I said, let's just let all of the word studies kind of sink in. So we backed off of 2 lessons a day and moved to doing more writing, and her like language arts, which we are using, what is that up there? Harcourt. Harcourt. language arts level. She is doing level 4. We're going to finish that and then move her on to level 5, book 3. And we're focusing on writing. I think 5th grade is a good time to really get a lot of the writing skills and writing techniques down. Writing a well-written paragraph. We may move to essays. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year, but this year we are writing well-written paragraphs. We are extending our sentences, more complex sentences, and that's the goal for her language arts in reading, and to finish the green book. And we probably will double it because I don't want to bring that into middle school. I just don't. Then for my son, for reading, he is from phonics to reading the red book. He is on lesson 3 or 4, I can't quite remember, but he's early on to it, and I decided to not finish the yellow book. The yellow book, he had 2 more lessons, which was the magic E, silent E, whatever you want to call it, where it turns the vowels into the long sounds. And so what I'm going to do with that is I put that aside, and when he gets to that in the red book, I'm going to take the yellow book out. He's going to start with the yellow book, and then he's going to go to the red book, because he only does it for 2 weeks in the yellow book, and then it does it for 2 weeks in the red book. The type of reader that he is, the type of learner that he is with reading right now, is that he needs it more repetitively, whatever the word is. Oh, I'm a homeschool mom. Don't judge me. But he's going to need more practice, and I know that's going to come up. So I'm going to use that as my time to kind of, instead of 2 weeks of the long sounds of vowels, we're going to do 4 weeks on that. And I think that's going to be more beneficial to him. But I thought he was going to really struggle with the red book, but he's not. He's doing pretty well, and I can only give credit to from phonics to reading level K, because it's spent week by week, every letter sound going through it, and those words are familiar. And also his sight words, he is doing better with remembering them. Even the movie Up, he was looking through trying to find a movie to watch, and he was like, "Mommy, is that my sight word? Up? That movie is called Up? That's my sight word." And I was like, "Yeah, that's your sight word." So there's something to when the kids are 7 or about to be 8, it just skyrocket. Our reading lessons are a lot easier. I will say that it's not any teeth pulling. There's no tears. There's no attitudes. So, thank you, Jesus. And then my kindergartner, he is from phonics to reading the yellow book. He's a great reader. He started out with teach your child to read in 100 easy lessons. I just did that as an introduction. So even as we got to lessons, like 75, 80, I would read a sentence, because the passages get really long, and he was still a preschooler. I'd read a sentence, he'd read a sentence. I wasn't even really focusing on him being really proficient with it. My goal was letter sounds, and so I'm thinking about there's an accelerated path for the yellow book. You have to go online and get those lesson plans, but I was thinking about doing that for him, but he's not quite there are some fluency sentences. He's not fluent with those quite yet, and so I'm gonna hold off a little bit, but he's almost there to the point where I think I could probably double up on his lessons and he could finish the book in half the time. But I don't want to push him to finishing something, doing something that he's not quite ready for. And yeah, so that's he is not doing any formal language arts, but for phonics reading, they do a little bit starting a sentence with a capital letter and ending with a punctuation mark, and a little bit of word study. So he started with the ing ending and the s ending, and because I know I've done the yellow book, the red book, and the blue book, I've kind of preloaded a little bit of information to him. It doesn't explain to him how, okay, let's say you have the word cat, but then you go from cats, so you'd go cat. Well, in the yellow book, it just has him go cat But I know in upcoming levels, the two consonants together make one coherent sound. And so we break it up to be, okay, you can do cat and it's 3 sounds. You are not, scared of that. You can conquer that word. But it has cats in the challenge area. And I'm like, this is not challenge. You can do this because TS makes tss, 1 sound. So you still are only working with 3 sounds, which is cats. And so just kind of helping him blend that, which I think will help us move through the red book a little bit quicker as well. So I feel like I'm becoming a better teacher of reading. Shout out to my 10-year-old and 7-year-old. And then now my kindergartner is getting a better teacher. And that probably is why a lot of parents don't want first-year teachers. But I feel like I'm more confident with how I teach reading. And sometimes I don't even need the book, the teacher's edition, to do it. And so that's been a blessing in our homeschool. Now for math, we are using Apologia level 4, Apologia level 2, and Apologia, I'm sorry. And then, what are we using for him? Well, what are we not using for my kindergartner? It's sex and math kindergarten. So Apologia is going great. Love it. No issues whatsoever with that curriculum. They both are doing skill builders, the skill sets from Math Mammoth as warm-ups. And then my kindergartner, so that's my 10-year-old and 7-year-old. My kindergartner, we were using sex and math. It's still out on my, on his list of things to do, but we haven't been picking it up. And it's only purely because I've been bored. So I bought Math with Confidence level K, the workbook only, which I know that's not how you're supposed to use it. But as a math teacher, I feel like I can get away with not having it. I don't suggest anyone else do that. But yeah, I do need to pull out the math with the Saxon math. I think it's not even the lessons that we're bored with, it's the opening meeting, which I've totally created our own morning thing, calendar thing, and all that. So I don't have to use it that way, but I need to pull it back up because there were some good things that in the lessons that I felt like were good for him. And so it's only because I sat through it with my 7-year-old son. He did that when he was in kindergarten. And there are things that my current kindergartner did with my 7-year-old. So it's not like he remembers, but I remember doing those things with him. And so I don't know. There are beneficial things that, we definitely need to pull it back out. So my goal for this next 6 weeks is to pull that back out. We have not been doing my kindergartner science, which was with, what was his science? The science was fusion science, and it was just basically the book became his textbook. We haven't been pulling it out, but he's just about done with that. I really like doing that with him, and I like doing it with my other kindergartner because Apologia math, though it is for all the grades, I feel like fusion science is kind of like a introduction to science, right? And then when we go to Apologia science, it is by like the topics, right? So my kindergartner has learned different tools you use in science. He's learned about weather. He's learned about on his level. And then when we go to Apologia, it's just like a step up. So he's still doing his kindergarten science, and he's still doing Apologia science with us. But it's like the tools that they use are familiar to him, which is, I feel like, helpful. We finished this was our history term, 6 weeks. So we did not do the timeline that I wanted to do. We have not been writing sentences and paragraphs like I wanted to do, but we are listening to Story of the World, and we are in chapter 13. With that, there are questions sometimes while the person is reading, and so we answer those questions, or I just ask them questions when each chapter is over, like my own questions, and we have conversations. I do want to get better with that. But again, my kids are in elementary, like 5th grade is still considered elementary, so I don't need to press. But also, I know that we do need more in that area. Can my kids name facts? Probably not. But do they know kind of like the grand scheme of things? Do they know a little bit of geography? Yes. And that's all that I'm asking for. Next year, or even the next 6 weeks time, we'll try to get better with more history. But for now, we are in chapter 13 of Story of the World, volume 2. So this next 6 weeks is going to be Apology of Science. We are still on Flying Creatures. We are more than halfway done. And so my goal would be actually to finish up Flying Creatures either this term or the term after Christmas. But this 6 weeks, that's what we'll be doing with that. So that will be super duper fun. They love science, they love the activities, and they love that there are tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of experiments. So that's their favorite with Apology of Science. Flying Creatures. So we've covered their basics, and now when it comes to the, like, we'll say more extra things, we have not done art, which I told them that we need to start that back up. So they've been doing art, but not the art curriculum. They've been doing like their own drawings, their own painting, their own clay models and all of that things, but we haven't been following like a curriculum. So let me correct that. And then we have not been doing, I have a confession to make, we haven't been doing like our morning meeting, our morning time, which is usually scripture, singing, social emotional, and like a bunch of other little things like morning meeting, some people call it, or some people call it morning basket. We haven't been doing it. Oh, but we have been doing Who Am I? The series of the biblical worldview from Apologia. So we did Who is God, and now we're on Who Am I? So we've been doing that, but it hasn't been like a formal morning meeting time. I just feel like my time is limited with having kids with 3 different levels of reading, 3 different levels of math, and science or history, like putting them together. So, and then having the twins. So I made the decision to kind of let that slide. Maybe next year we will do better, but for this year I'm actually okay with when it just can't happen. I don't ever want to skip days with my kindergartner with reading. Those are it's very important, and it's all about consistency, right? And then my 7th grader, my 7-year-old, he's doing great with reading. He might not be the best reader, but I don't want to miss days with that either. It's about consistency. And then it's like reading and math, those are my priorities. Everything else is if we get to it, we get to it, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not gonna pressure myself into something that, in the grand scheme of things, social emotional, they're gonna learn that just life, right? Would I prefer for me to be able to give them scenarios that are more tailored to each one of their ages? Yes. But at the end of the day, they are with other children 3 times. They're with their own siblings. And that's another thing. Like, we really need to focus on how you treat the people you live with, right? They're with their own siblings, and then they're with other children 3 days out of the week. 4 days if you count Sunday. 4 days out of the week. And so it's not like they need social cues, social skills. They all understand how to treat others and things of that nature. But they really did have some good stuff in it. Like, if Johnny stole $1 at the cash register, are you going to do it too? Not that specifically, but it was good scenarios that I really like. So I'll try, but I'm not even pressing. that right now for this year. And as it goes for me, seminary is going great. This is my the year that I also have my internship at my church. That's going great. Just some eye-opening things that have been, as I'm praying to God, talking to God, something that we talked about in my Old Testament class is that this story is being told from one specific view, right? And at first I was offended because I'm like, all right, well, what version are we getting? But it dawned on me that before the Bible was even written, thought about, there was Yahweh. Yahweh was here before the Bible, and he will be here after the Bible. And so when we talk about putting God in a box, sometimes we're putting God into a book. And a book cannot portray all of who God is. God is more than that. There were people who worship Yahweh before Israel did. So that's what I'm trying to get to, right? And so because of that, that story is not told. And I think about how the stories of my ancestors have not been told, right? And so that's part of like tearing down those idols of being a woman, being Black, being part of like the Democrats, Republicans, or whatever. Like a lot of that stuff has to be torn down because a lot of that stuff is an idol. And so I had to come to God and say, like, I love the fact that you were here before these words were even put on paper. And I love the fact that you will be here even after, if it ever goes away. And even that span of time, you've been there through it. And you are the God who took chaos and formed it into something. And right now, my thoughts and my emotions are chaos. And so I just hand them over to you and to form them into something. And so I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying that when people go to seminary, some of them go in as Christians and leave as atheists. This is the time where this is the class I think that kind of like does it for them in Old Testament. But Old Testament is going great. Also, the other class I'm taking is Pastoral Care. Really love that one. The next class that I'm taking is Stranger No More, which is about immigration. And I like that class, but it's also just, in my opinion, treat people well. Treat people well. Like, it doesn't matter what side of the border they come from. It doesn't matter what country they come from. Treat them well. And that's just the book. Like, lead with love, right? And then my supervised ministry course. And then, so yeah, those are my 4 classes. So I'm just in this space where there was a God before these pages, and how great it is to be a daughter of someone who loved humanity so much, who loves humanity so much. And so that's where I leave you, is that you are loved. You are loved, you are loved, you are loved. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing in your past that can take that away. And yeah, if you haven't heard it today, make sure you drink your water and repent. Bye. Oh, in the comments, let me know how your school year is going. Are you feeling a little fatigued? Are you feeling burnt out? Yeah, let us know. And my saying is each one teach one, so let's help other mamas out in the comments. Bye.